record on here. Everything's good to go. Does anyone have any questions before we get started? We have about an hour to get through this. Perfect. All right. So this is a highly interactive training. So again, I want you to find the chat box. If you haven't already, oh, hi, Jubai. Oh my gosh, it's so great to see you. If you haven't already, put your name, where you're from, maybe what your favorite movie is in the chat. Let's all get to know each other because I'm really all about building a community and building a connection with one another because that's how we actually begin to lift ourselves all up. So we all have the companion guide. If anyone comes in later, I wouldn't mind a little bit of help, but if you see anyone kind of pop in later and they haven't had a chance to get the guide yet, if you want to re-pop it in, if anyone wants to do that, please. Thank you so much. Perfect. Oh, thanks, Joe, for introducing yourself. That's perfect. I love The Proposal. Oh, I love The Proposal. It's such a good movie. I used to really resonate with that movie because I married someone from a different country. And so this idea of, hey, let's get engaged because like that's the only way that we can actually make this work is just, I love that. It really resonated. So anyways, okay. So everyone has their notebooks out. They have their docs out. All right, let's go. We're officially going to get started. Oh, I'm so excited. Welcome to the Attachment and Communication Mastery Workshop. So here we will be learning the top 3 ways of how understanding your attachment styles can enhance your communication and connection in your relationships. I'm so glad that you're here, and I don't take it lightly that you've committed to spending this holiday weekend with me. So as I mentioned, this is a highly interactive training. We're going to have a conversation together. So turn on your cameras, make sure you have the chat box ready. And I just want to see everything that's going on. So I love this. So let's dive in to the top 3 ways understanding attachment styles can enhance communication and connection. So you're here because you want to learn how to break free from toxic relationship patterns and improve your communication skills. So it's super important that you block out all distractions. Give this time back to yourself. I want you to put your phone on airplane mode. I want you to close all unnecessary tabs on your computer. Put a do not disturb sign on your door. Listen, give your kids extra snacks. Throw the tablet at them. I don't care because this time is for you. And this is so, so important. Dedicate this time for yourself. It's so rare these days that we can give anything our undivided attention, but you're here for a reason. And I want to make sure that you're able to focus on this training. I also just want to say hi to Angela, who just popped in. Hi, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat and where it's going to be highly interactive. So say hi, put your name, put your location. And now I'm going to tell you guys about the free gift that I promised you all, because you're going to want to pay attention and stay till the end, because I have a special gift for you. And everything I'm going to share with you today is super important, and it's critical to the relationship journey that you stay until the end of this workshop so you can get the full picture of all of the stuff I want to share with you. But I'm also going to make it a little bit easier for you to stay till the end with some incentives. So towards the end of the workshop, I'm going to drop a link right here in the chat box, and you'll be able to click the link and download a free self-care workbook for secure attachment. And for folks who are interested in learning about how they can get their hands on one of these cute little notebooks I was sharing before with some of the ladies, I will tell you how to win one of these at the end. So go ahead and type in the chat, get your chat box ready. Type in the chat, I'm staying, if you're staying till the end. Okay, let's see who's staying. Who is staying till the end of the workshop today? Who's in it to win it? Let's go. Yes, Deanna is staying. That's so great. Well, listen. Oh, yes, Joe is staying. Oh, I'm loving this. Listen, my promise to you today, Angela's staying, Jemiah is staying. Yeah. By the end of this workshop, y'all, you are going to learn how to stop sabotaging your relationships with those old unhelpful patterns that have been holding you back. You know, the ones where you find yourself stuck in the same frustrating cycles, feeling unheard, disconnected, unloved. And instead, what you're going to learn by the end of this workshop is how to communicate your needs effectively, set healthy boundaries with confidence, and foster deeper, more meaningful connections with your partner. You'll leave here equipped with the tools and insights to transform the way you approach your relationships, creating the kind of love and connection that truly fulfills you. Does that sound good? Type yes in the chat if that sounds good to you. Yes. Oh, I love it, Deanna, with the 2 hands. Yes. So more specifically, we're going to discover what you've been doing for years to create a healthy and fulfilling relationship that hasn't been working. We often fall into patterns that feel comfortable or familiar, but they end up leaving us stuck in the same old ruts. And instead, I'm going to walk you through what actually works, proven strategies to break free from those unhelpful habits, to communicate in a way that fosters real understanding and build the kind of relationship where both partners feel truly seen and valued. I mean, imagine being able to skip over all of the Googling, the self help books, the trial and erroring, and just do what works. I know when I first learned the attachment style framework and the communication techniques that I'm going to share with you today, it completely changed my life. It was like a light bulb went off. I finally understood why my relationships kept hitting the same walls, and more importantly, how to break through them. The methods haven't just transformed my life, they've made a profound difference for all of my clients as well. I've seen women go from feeling stuck and frustrated to experiencing deep, fulfilling connections. And I know these tools can do the same for you too. So now, after hearing all of that, I want you to type in the chat what you're feeling right now after hearing all of that. Are you excited? Hopeful? Maybe you're skeptical or you're not really sure. Yes, Mate says she's hopeful. I love that so much. It's okay, however it is that you're feeling. Joe is also hopeful. I'm loving this. These are some great feelings to be having. Any feeling that you're having right now is the right one because it's the one that's pointing you in the right direction. Hopeful and open, curious. I love that one. But now, before we dive further, let me know if you can relate to any of this. Because how many of you are having the same fight over and over again with your partner, only for it to end up with even more disconnection or worse, complete disconnection? I'm talking breakups and divorce. It's like you're on a never-ending loop and nothing ever gets resolved. Are you fed up with all of the relationship advice out there that seems completely contradictory? You want to say this, but don't say that. And then you want to do this, but don't overdo that because then you're going to scare them away. I don't know about you, but it's enough to make my head explode. And are you trying so hard to get him to just understand why all of this is making you feel so overwhelmed? But it seems like no matter how you explain it, it just keeps getting worse. Are you unsure how to get that deep, meaningful connection you crave, where you truly feel understood and valued by a partner? Do you sometimes feel like you don't even believe that a healthy and fulfilling relationship is even possible anymore? Like, what's the point? Honestly, I mean, you might as well just live alone and stay single because you're just about done with all of this. Listen, if any of that sounds like you are not alone. I've been there, and I know how exhausting and frustrating it can be, but there's hope. And we're going to dig into these patterns, why they keep happening, and more importantly, how to change them so you can finally create the connection and understanding you've been longing for. Yeah. Now, if this is resonating with you, I just want you to know that I have been through this myself. Yeah. And Deanna says in the chat, I'm tired by attempted communication and then met by avoidance. Yes, because this advice out there that they keep giving us is not working. And I cannot wait to get that into you. Okay. But first, I want you to know that I promise you, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is not your fault. Actually, like, let me really, truly repeat that. It is not your fault. And in fact, this is one of the most important things I want you to take away from tonight. So, because words are powerful, I want you all to open up your chat and I want you to type in the chat right now, it's not my fault. I'm going to wait because this is so important. You need to know this. You need to feel it in your body. It's not my fault. Look at that with all caps. Beautiful, beautiful Deanna, beautiful Mate, beautiful Joe. Yes, Angela, it's not your fault. It's just really hard to know what to do and who to trust. And if you feel anything like I did back then, before I became a relationship coach, I would have done just about anything to get rid of my deep pain of never feeling okay or safe in my relationships. I would do anything to get rid of that nagging feeling that something was always missing. And in fact, I literally did everything I possibly could, and I spent a lot of money on it. And some of it worked, and it's honestly why, I'm here today. But most of it was a waste. And that's when I started getting curious. How could I collate all of this useful information that I've learned and help others with it? Because that's what I'm about to share with you is the fastest and simplest way to truly feel safe and fulfilled in your relationships. Now imagine this. You wake up every morning and you're excited to share a thought you had with your partner, maybe a fun date night. and you don't have any fear that he's going to think you're too weird or too needy or you're just being high maintenance again. Or you won't need to rely on texting him your feelings out of fear that if you do it in person, you might mess up or fly off the handle, because you're going to learn how to communicate your needs and boundaries clearly, lovingly, and effectively without the worry that it'll blow up in your face. And you'll finally feel at peace and rested in the relationship with the deep sense of knowing that the two of you can handle anything that comes your way because you and him are on the same team. Now, tell me in the chat which scenario is the one that you really want. Which one best describes why you showed up here today? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Is it maybe something that I didn't even mention? I want to know, which scenario is it that brought you here today to this workshop? 3. Yeah. Communicating your needs and boundaries clearly and lovingly. All of them. Mate, that's so real. I think all of them is really real. It's why I put them. 3 is another big one for Angela. This is so good. Now, listen, I'm going to talk a lot and I'm about to get into this, but some of you know me well. Some of you have no idea who I am. So before I go on any further, I should formally introduce myself. I'm Jen. Hi, Jen Noble. I am an ICF accredited relationship coach. I'm a TEDx speaker, podcast host, and the founder of Speak Honest and the creator of the Relationship Reboot program. I support strong and independent women and breaking free from toxic relationship patterns and building fulfilling, authentic connections without having to compromise who they are or settle for less than you deserve. That's the professional Jen, right? So that's me there. But let me tell you a little bit more about like the fun Jen. You might not know that I am a proud mom to a 13-year-old son. He loves musical theater and is obsessed with crafting. So our house is basically filled with craft supplies and music all the time. I never went to college right after high school. But in 2021, when I was kind of getting my life together through all of this, at the age of 37, I decided to go back and pursue my degree in psychology. It's definitely been a journey and it's still going, but it really shows that it's never too late to chase your dreams. Something goofy about me is I'm a huge fan of reality TV, especially Big Brother and Survivor. There's just something about the strategy and the human dynamics that just keeps pulling me back in. If you are a Big Brother fan, let me know because the season is getting really good right now and I could use someone to talk to, but no one ever seems to watch it. So it is my guilty pleasure. And beyond all that, I am just a passionate social rights activist. I'm dedicating to helping people find their voice and stand up for what they believe in. So now that you know a bit about who I am today, I want to take you back to a time when things weren't so smiley and happy. So before I click on the next slide, I want to be a little bit real with you real quick. So when I was preparing for this workshop, I was trying to find a picture in my Google Photos that really captured the pain that I was feeling back in 2020. So I found this shot of me drinking a bottle of wine. Oh, hold on. I'll do it this way. And trying to be cute, right? I think I was sending it to some guy on Bumble because I was trying to get male validation at the time or something. And I remember that night really clearly because I drank the thing straight from the bottle. And honestly, that wasn't a one-time occurrence for me back then at all. Alcohol became my crutch. I felt unloved and useless, worthless, not enough, broken, a burden, all of those wounds going on inside of me. And I just felt so alone. But as I kept scrolling through the pictures, I found one that really hit me. And it was just a few pictures after that. And it's this one of me crying. And that is actually me during that time. The pain and the loneliness was so overwhelming that half the time I wondered how I was even going to make it through. Like it was a really, really dark time for me. And that's an understatement. And I know that the pandemic was really hard on so many people, but this was my heart. And while people all around me were dying and losing jobs and struggling to put food on the table, I was sitting there drowning myself in drugs and alcohol and food. Why? Because of a boy? Like, it sounds so trivial now, but at the time, it was like my entire world was crumbling in front of me. It's like I couldn't control myself. And in my mind, I kept telling myself, just get the fuck over it, Jen. It's not that big of a deal. But shocker, I didn't get over it. Instead, I just kept burying myself further and further in the depression of the heartache. And every time I tried to push it back down, it just came back up stronger than ever, pulling me deeper into that dark place. And so I just want to know, does anyone else feel that way? Tell me in the chat if you're struggling with the same thing, maybe something similar. I know I'm not the first, nor will I be the last person to cause herself more harm in the hopes of just trying to feel any hint of relief. Yeah, Angela, you're there right now. And I just want to take a moment with you then, because I know that pain. It's really deep, and it just feels all encompassing, doesn't it? Yeah. And anyone else, if you're going through anything similar, you're not alone. And that is what we are here for. We're here to lift each other up, and we're here to do this together. Because, yeah, Mate, struggling with a heartache. Oh, God, after cheating, I'm just going to take a moment with you too. And Deanna, I relate to that. Yeah, you had to seek counseling, even medication. Absolutely. I'm on medication. Medication is great. It works for some, it doesn't work for others. It's all about finding what works for you. Well, thank you all for being here today. Any pain that you're going through right now, I just want you to know I'm holding space for you, and I'm here for you, because I know what it was like. I felt drained and lost and overwhelmed. The loneliness and heartache were just over consuming me, and I decided no more. I remember one night I was sitting alone after finishing another bottle of wine, and it hit me that I couldn't keep living like this. I couldn't keep drowning my pain in alcohol and drugs. I had to make a change, or I was going to lose myself, literally, completely. So it was around that time when I heard Gabor Mate. He quoted Eckhart Tolle, as he does all the time, and he says, "The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but the thoughts about it." Like, hearing those words shifted something inside of me. It wasn't just my circumstances that were making me miserable. It was the way I was thinking about them, the way I was letting them define me. So I made a decision, and I decided that I was going to figure out how to break free from this toxic cycle. I wanted to reboot my life. I wanted to reboot my relationships in a way that felt true to who I am. And it didn't matter how long it took or what I had to do, I was committed to finding a way out. So I made a decision that I was going to figure out how to heal and grow without compromising myself or settling for less than I knew I deserved. And I knew I had to do it in a way that felt authentic, without all the things that just weren't working for me. And that's when I started the journey that got me to where I am today, here with you, coaching my clients so that they can skip over all the years of trial and error that I struggled with and that I went through, so they can just get to the part where they're living the life that they've always wanted, the part that I'm at now. This decision led to the realization that what I've been doing for all these years was almost completely wrong. But I'm so grateful I made that choice to invest in myself, because if I hadn't, I'd probably still be trying all the quick fixes, the wasted, useless affirmations, the toxic, positively self-help bullshit that never got me anywhere. And even though now I'm able to help women break free from toxic relationship patterns and build authentic, fulfilling connections, I had to unlearn everything I thought was the right thing to do, because I quickly discovered how wrong those approaches were for me. I had to test out different strategies, trying to find what actually worked for my unique situation. And the thing is, I struggled a lot. I remember one time when I thought I'd found the answer in attachment styles, and I read this book called Attached. I don't know if any of you know about this book. You can let me know in the chat if you know about this book. I'm not a fan of this book. And I was certain that when I read this book, I knew what to do now. I was going to be healed. This is going to be great. I'm just going to find a secure man, and then he will heal me, and everything will be fine. I literally spent months thinking that this was the solution to my problems. Of course, it's not. And because of this, I backslid really hard, and I was so frustrated. I really wish someone would just come in and tell me what to do, so I didn't have to keep wasting my time and energy to figure it all out on my own. It took a lot of time and patience, and there's no way I could have arrived at my approach without investing in my personal development and my professional education and becoming an expert in relationships and communication. But I was fully committed to figuring it out, and I wasn't going back to my old ways. I knew I had to keep pushing forward, no matter how many mistakes I made along the way. And what I discovered through all of the trial and error was that it wasn't that I was too needy. I wasn't worthless, unlovable, or broken. Those were the things I thought were wrong with me. But I realized none of that was true. The real issue was deeper. I had an underlying root cause. And once I started to address that root cause, everything started changing for me. And so now I want to share with you what that shift is, so you can skip over the trial and error and find your own path to healing and healthy, fulfilling relationships. Because there is a simpler way to build the authentic connections you desire without feeling like you have to change who you are or constantly doubt your self-worth. So now I want you to type yes in the chat if you want a simpler way of doing things. Yes, Deanna says yes. Angela says yes. Perfect. Joe says yes. Jumai says yes. Okay. We are going to go over the 3 core concepts that will change the way you look at your ability to maintain healthy relationships. So get your notepads out, open up your Google Docs, read along with the companion guide if anyone needs the companion guide. If someone has it and can drop it in the chat again, I appreciate your help. I really do. Thank you so much, because I want to get started on this because we only have about 40 minutes left to go, and I talk fast, but I don't talk that fast. So let's get going. Let's start with why generic communication strategies often fail to create meaningful connections in relationships. Have you ever found yourself frustrated because no matter how hard you try to communicate, it just doesn't seem to land with your partner? Maybe you followed all of the advice out there. Things like just tell him how you feel, if he really cared, he would listen, or just try harder, he'll open up, I promise. But somehow, despite doing all of the right things, you still end up feeling misunderstood, disconnected, or like you're speaking 2 different languages. You are not alone. I promise you that. I am going to grab something real quick. There you go, Deanna. I got you. Okay. Now, research on attachment styles. So you're very welcome, Deanna. I love the companion guide, so I want to make sure that you have access to it. So research on attachment styles, such as the study by Hazen and Schaefer, suggests that about 60% of people fall into one of 3 insecure attachment styles. That's anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. And these styles heavily influence how we communicate in relationships. This is why generic communication strategies often fall short. They don't take into account the unique needs and fears that come with each attachment style. What works for one person might not work at all for someone else, and that's where the disconnect starts to happen. So let me tell you a little story, and I'll come on here. Hi. Let me tell you a little story about a client. I'll call her Sarah. So a few years ago, I was working with a client named Sarah, and Sarah had been in a relationship with her boyfriend, Mark, for a little over 2 years or so when she came to me. And Sarah had an anxious attachment style, and she loved deeply, and she was always eager to show her affection deeply and caring. But she was also constantly worried that her boyfriend didn't feel the same way about her. And so she would frequently text him throughout the day asking, do you still love me? Is everything okay? Did I make you upset? Like, she was just kind of in this chronic state of fear. And so for Sarah, these texts, they were a way for her to just feel close to Mark, to reassure herself that, the relationship was solid. But Mark had more of an avoidant attachment style. And so he started to feel overwhelmed by the constant need for reassurance. He valued his independence and found it difficult to express his emotions. So he often responded to Sarah's messages with short, distant replies, or sometimes no replies at all. Yeah, I've been there. This pattern, it created this cycle, though. See, the more distant her boyfriend became, the more distant Mark became, the more anxious Sarah felt. So this led her to seek even more reassurance, which in turn pushed Mark further away. And eventually their communication just completely broke down entirely. And then that's when she came and found me. So they were both just so caught up in their attachment patterns that they couldn't see how their behaviors were affecting each other. And when Sarah came to me, she was heartbroken and confused. She couldn't understand why her attempts to connect with Mark were driving him away. This isn't what she would be doing, so why is he doing that? And Mark, he, on the other hand, he was feeling suffocated and unable to express his need for space without hurting Sarah's feelings. But as we started working together, Sarah learned to recognize her anxious patterns and how they were impacting her relationship. We worked on strategies for her to self-soothe and to communicate her needs more clearly without overwhelming Mark. So at the same time, she encouraged Mark to express his need for space in a way that didn't feel rejecting to her. It wasn't an overnight transformation, of course, right? But with time and effort, they began to find balance. Mark learned to be more emotionally available, while Sarah learned to manage her anxiety and trust in their relationship without needing constant reassurance. And their relationship isn't perfect, no relationship is, but they've both grown so much in their ability to communicate and connect with one another. I love to see it. It's very sweet. And they're now able to really talk openly about their needs, and they work together to create a relationship that feels supportive and secure for both of them. And I share the story because I want you to see that these patterns, they aren't set in stone. By understanding your attachment style and your partner's, you can start to shift the way you communicate and build a relationship that works for the both of you. So now that we've established the importance of tailoring communication to different attachment styles, let's dive in to what that actually looks like in practice. So to make this easier to understand, I like to talk about attachment styles as dances, because the way that we move and interact with our partners on the dance floor can say a lot about our connection. So let's talk about the first one, the anxious attachment, or as I call it, the salsa of uncertainty. Picture a salsa. It's fast paced, it's passionate, but it's often out of sync. So, this dance, one partner is constantly looking for the other for reassurance. They're so preoccupied with upsetting their partner that they fear if they miss even one step, the entire routine will fall apart and it's their fault. Anxiously attached individuals, they're like this. They crave closeness and reassurance, often worrying that their partner might not feel the same way. You might notice that an anxious partner frequently seeks affirmation, asking questions like, "Are we okay? Did I do something wrong? Do you still love me?" These questions, though, they aren't just about the surface level, they're rooted in a deeper need for emotional security. And this is why generic communication strategies, they don't address these deep-seated fears for anxious folks. It's important to recognize that an anxious partner isn't just looking for casual affirmation. It's not just, yeah, babes, we're fine. Like, don't deal with it. Like, what's the big deal? No. When someone is coming to you with this, they're seeking a deeper emotional connection to feel secure in their relationship. Now, you've probably heard advice like, just tell them how you feel. But for someone with an anxious attachment style, that might not be enough, and that's okay. They need clear, consistent communication that reassures them on a deeper level. So, what can you do if your partner has an anxious attachment style? Well, here's one strategy that can make a big difference. I want you to reassure them when you're taking space. So, in this dance, it's important to communicate clearly when you need time for yourself. Reassure your partner that taking space doesn't mean pulling away emotionally. It doesn't mean you're never coming back. And that's what an anxious person feels. And instead, you might say, "Hey, I need a little time to recharge, but this has nothing to do with us. I'll be back, and then we can talk more later." This helps ease their anxiety and keeps the dance flowing smoothly. And so now that we've explored how to effectively communicate to someone with an anxious attachment style, let's shift our focus to avoidant attachment style, which, if I have a sneaking suspicion, might be why most of you are all here. How do we talk to someone with an avoidant attachment style, right? Or, as I call it, the solo tango. This dance is all about confidence and precision. It's usually a dance that should be a duet, but within the avoidant attachment, it's done alone. And that's because avoidant attached individuals value their independence and autonomy and often keep emotional distance, much like a solo tango dancer who prefers to dance alone rather than with a partner. So they may feel overwhelmed by too much closeness, or when their partner demands more emotional availability than they're able to give in that moment. So, understanding how to connect with someone who's doing the solo tango can be incredibly challenging, but with the right approach, you can foster a relationship that feels supportive and balanced for both of you. So, this is why generic communication strategies don't work with an avoidant attachment partner. And the advice, it might pressure them as an avoidant to open up too quickly and then they shut down. And this can lead them to withdraw further and further and further away. So it's crucial to approach these conversations with sensitivity and with understanding and compassion to their need for space and autonomy. Now, I want you to type yes in the chat if you've been on the receiving end of an avoidance, sudden shutdown, and withdrawal. Who has ever been on the receiving end of that? Yes, yes, with the exclamation point, Joe. 100% with Deanna. Yeah, it's rough, right? I think it might be one of the hardest things to really go through. It feels so out of control. But what can you do? It is so hard. What can you do if your partner is dancing the solo tango? Well, I have a couple of strategies, but here's one for today. I want you to think of their need for space, like the natural pauses in a tango, because respecting their need for space is one of the key ways to really keep an avoidant connected to you. This space is necessary to maintain the rhythm within the relationship. Respecting this need prevents them from feeling smothered and trapped, and it encourages them to engage when they're ready. So now that we've discussed strategies for communicating anxious and avoidance, let's get into the fun one, which is the disorganized attachment. And I call this one the pendulum swing dance because this is a dance where the rhythms are changing unpredictably at all times. They are swinging from one extreme to the other. Disorganized attachment is a complex mix of anxious and avoidant behaviors. And they're constantly creating this push pull dynamic in the relationships. So, one moment, there's this deep longing for closeness. And then on the next, overwhelming fear that intimacy is going to trap me forever. And then they have to push it away. Now, navigating a relationship with someone who has a disorganized attachment can feel like trying to keep up with a partner whose movements are constantly shifting and you have no idea what's going on. And this unpredictable dance often stems from a history of inconsistent or traumatic relationships where trust was shaky at best. So, if you've ever felt like you were being pulled in close by someone only to be pushed away just as quickly, then you've likely encountered someone doing the disorganized dance. And this back and forth can be confusing and exhausting. But understanding that the underlying dynamics can make all the difference. So, how can you find a rhythm in this dance? Let's come up with one strategy that I have here for communicating with someone caught in the disorganized dance. You want to communicate clearly and directly. No indirect stuff with a disorganized attachment. No passive aggressiveness. No, I'm fine, hoping that he checks in on you. No, no, you tell someone with a disorganized attachment you're fine, they're just going to think, okay, then she's fine. Mixed signals are common in this attachment style. So clear and direct communication is essential. Setting and maintaining boundaries with compassion can create a safer, more predictable environment for the disorganized individual. So, by applying these strategies, you can actually help transform the chaotic pendulum swing dance into that more harmonious interaction, bringing stability and trust to the relationship. Now, those are the three insecure attachment styles. And I wish that I had known about these approaches back in my first marriage. And instead, we relied on generic strategies that just didn't address the deeper issue that we were having. We decided to go to counseling at the time. This was probably like 10 years ago, really hoping that it would navigate the challenges that we were facing. And looking back now, though, I mean, some of the advice that we were given, it seems laughable. But at the time, the survival of our marriage hung in the balance. So we did everything it could to make it work. But the thing was, I had some pretty heavy disorganized attachment wounds back then. So the tools that the counselor was telling us to use, like, you know, don't go to bed angry, just talk it out. Don't fight over the little things. Learn to let it go. Like all of that advice just compounded to make things so much worse for me as the person with the disorganized attachment. And my husband at the time, he just wouldn't respect my boundaries or give me any of the space I needed to regulate my emotions. He would pressure me to open up about what I was feeling. But I was someone with a disorganized attachment at the time, and I genuinely didn't know how I was feeling. I mean, sure, I was probably scared and sad, but I also felt like I was the broken one in the marriage because I couldn't be the one to open up. And the counselor, like, he did not help because he kept making me feel like I was even more broken. Like I should be the one to open up just because I'm a woman or something. I should be in touch with my emotions. You're the woman, you're the female here. Like this kind of help, it broke me for years. That experience is a big part why I'm so passionate about talking to as many women as possible and sharing with them that this type of advice, it's not only wrong, it's hurtful. I know firsthand how damaging it can be when you're not given the right tools to navigate your attachment style. And that's why I'm here today sharing these strategies with you, because it's important to recognize that we are not broken. And with the right understanding and approach, you can heal and create healthier relationships. Okay, so I have covered a lot so far, and now it's time to take the next step together. So I want to know in the chat, get your fingers ready. Are you all ready to heal? I want you to type heal in the chat so we can collectively set our intentions together and move forward on this journey. Yes, Deanna says heal with an exclamation point. Joe says heal. Angela says heal. I'm loving this. Mate says heal. Yeah. Let's set that intention right now together that we are going to heal ourselves and our relationships, which leads me into core concept number 2, which is all about healing. And it is a mindset that healing is possible and that change is within our reach. But the best way to do this is by building emotional resilience. So, how do we build emotional resilience? Such a good question. Is it through having the perfect relationship? Is that how we build resilience? By never arguing? By never disagreeing or never disconnecting? No. That is an outdated Hollywood way of looking at relationships. Relationships aren't just about the fun romps in a park, feeding each other strawberries, and then having amazing sex under the sheets afterwards, right? It's about the ups and the downs. And those downs, those ones are actually some of the most important parts of our relationships. And that's why, with core concept number 2, I want to really tackle one of the biggest myths out there, which is that conflict is a ticking time bomb in relationships. It's not the presence of conflict that determines the health of a relationship, but rather how we handle it. And in fact, research shows that conflict, when well managed, can actually strengthen relationships rather than weaken them. This is where the concept of rupture and repair becomes crucial. Rupture and repair are the part of the natural rhythm of any healthy relationship. So a rupture occurs when there's a conflict or a disconnect, and the repair is the process of coming back together. Addressing what went wrong and rebuilding the connection is part of the repair process. This cycle of rupture and repair, it's not just normal. It's not just, oh, everyday thing going to happen. It's essential for building emotional resilience in the relationship. The ability to bounce back from challenges and grow stronger together is so key. But I don't want you to take my word for it. I want to look at some of the leading experts in relationships and what do they say. So, the Gottman Institute's research shows that 69% of relationship conflicts are about perpetual problems. What's that? Perpetual problems. These are issues that will quite literally never be resolved. But here's the key: couples who learn to manage these conflicts effectively through the process of rupture and repair tend to have a stronger, more fulfilling relationship. So it's not about eliminating conflict at all, but about how do you navigate those inevitable challenges that deepen your connection and builds that relationship resilience. And furthermore, according to the American Psychological Association, couples who engage in positive conflict resolution are 10 times more likely to have a successful marriage than those who avoid conflict or engage in destructive arguments. This positive conflict resolution is the repair phase in action. It's about turning what could be a damaging rupture into an opportunity to rebuild trust, understanding, and emotional closeness. And if you're wondering still whether this approach actually works, I want you to consider this: that a study by the National Marriage Project found that 7 out of 10 couples who reported a high level of relationship satisfaction also said that learning how to handle conflict in a way that brought them closer together was a key factor in this happiness. This underscores the importance of embracing conflict as a part of the relationship dynamic and using it to foster emotional resilience. So, the idea that conflict in a relationship is a killer is not only misleading, it's completely counterproductive. The truth is that conflict, when approached with the right mindset and tools, can actually help us through the rupture and repair and bring us resilience in this relationship. And so now that I've busted this myth that a conflict is a ticking time bomb in relationships, I want to hear from you. You know the drill. Get your fingers ready. Think about your own relationships right now. Okay. So, whether this is a partner or a friend or a family member, in the chat, I want you to think about from a scale from 1 to 10. How comfortable are you with facing and addressing conflict? So, 1 might mean you tend to avoid conflict at all costs. I don't like conflict. I try to avoid conflict. Conflict scares me. That would be somewhere close to a 1. While a 10 means you're confident in handling it head on. You understand the purpose for it. You get excited when conflict comes around, and that's a 10. So, where are you with how you are with conflict in a relationship? Perfect. Deanna says 5. Oh, Angela, I'm a 10, but he's a 1. Yeah, that can be really, really complicated, especially when two people in the relationship have those differences. That's beautiful to be able to see that. Joe says 7. Yeah, anywhere that you are right now is so good because we just want to get an idea of where you are so we understand how to explore where to tidy up your conflict resolution skills. So, with all of that said, let's see. Oh, I have another little story I want to share. So, I want to talk about another client I had. Oh, yeah, he avoids the talks. Avoiding is because it's very scary for them. It's so overwhelming sometimes. Let me tell you a story about another client. I'm going to call her Laura. Laura used to avoid conflicts at all costs. She was very conflict avoidant. She believed that any argument or disagreement was a sign that something was fundamentally wrong with her relationship. So anytime any sort of rupture occurred, she would either shut it down or try to smooth it over as quickly as possible, often at the expense of her own feelings, very people pleasing, just very, very fearful of any kind of conflict. But as I started working with her, she began to see conflict in a new light. We started reframing what it meant for her, and she learned that those moments of rupture, they weren't just unavoidable. They were opportunities to build emotional resilience and deepen her connection with her partner. So now instead of running from conflict, she started to engage in the process of repair. And it wasn't easy and it didn't happen overnight. But with time and practice, Laura began to feel more confident in navigating these challenges. And now, instead of seeing conflict as a relationship killer, she sees it as a chance to grow. And the difference it has made in her relationship is incredible. I'm sharing Laura's story because I just want you to know that it's possible to shift your perspective on this. That if you are someone that is afraid of conflict, we can still use it to build stronger, more resilient relationships. Because it's not just about repairing to get past the rupture, it's about repairing to build resilience in the relationship. Because a truly fulfilling relationship needs that repair. It physically does. But here's the thing, you can't have a repair without a rupture, can you? So now I want you to type yes in the chat if you're starting to see that the conflicts in your relationships are actually incredible opportunities for growth for both you and your partner. Yes, Joe says yes. Deanna says yes. Mm. Even the cheating. Well, that would be a pretty big rupture. That's a great question, Mate. Actually, that's a great question for the Q&A. Let's talk about that more during the Q&A section because I love nuanced questions like that. So let's dive into core concept number 3, just to keep it rolling, because we've discussed the importance of tailoring communication to your attachment style and building emotional resilience through the process of rupture and repair. But it's time to bring everything together into our final core concept, which is empowering personal responsibility. But what does taking personal responsibility actually look like? Because it's not about taking on all of the blame or trying to fix everything yourself. And instead, it's about recognizing your power to influence your relationship dynamics and making intentional choices that lead to the outcome you desire. Many of us have spent years struggling in our relationships, feeling like we are constantly hitting a wall. It's easy to start blaming ourselves, thinking we're just not good enough or we're doomed to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. But the truth is, it's not your fault, remember. The patterns you developed are deeply rooted in your early childhood experiences, and they've shaped how you interact in your relationships today. But the game changer is that understanding these patterns is just the beginning. To truly shift your relationship dynamics, you need a clear, actionable plan. And when I first began this journey, simply understanding my attachment style just wasn't enough. I needed a roadmap to create real change in my life. And that's why you're here today, because what you've been doing so far hasn't been working or giving you the results that you deserve. I've been where you are. I have felt frustrated, like I was putting in so much effort, but still not making the progress I wanted. And that's why I became a certified relationship coach, because I found that while many programs and courses offered valuable insights, they lack that personalized guidance I needed. They gave me well meaning, but generic advice. And when it didn't work, I was left wondering if I was the problem. Maybe I wasn't trying hard enough. But that's why I'm so passionate about working one-on-one with my clients, because every person's journey is unique. And my intention is to dig deep into your specific challenges and goals. And this individualized approach means that we can focus on what truly matters to you, your strengths, your struggles, your path to a relationship that fills your heart with excitement, not anxiety. And addressing the root cause of my relationship struggles and the emotional roller coaster that came with them was essential. A one size fits all coaching program just doesn't cut it. Generic advice only leads to more misunderstandings, more conflicts, and the same toxic cycles. And in my research, I have found that the most impactful programs are those that dive deep into your personal experiences, your core beliefs, and your emotional triggers. These programs, they don't just skim the surface. They get to the heart of what's holding you back, allowing for real, lasting transformation. But achieving this kind of transformation isn't just about trying harder or doing more. It requires a proven science-backed method. This approach is grounded in research, ensuring that the steps you take are effective and lead to meaningful growth. With a clear step-by-step plan, you can focus on what you truly need to thrive. So whether you work with me, maybe another coach or a therapist, on your own, reading your own books, understanding the deeper why behind these steps is what ultimately will lead to lasting change. And that's why before you leave here today, I want to make sure you not only know about the steps in this process, but that you also understand why they're important and the research that backs them up. And yeah, I am going right now to give away all of this information about my program for free. Why? Why am I going to tell you the step-by-step way that I do my program? Because the steps in my program are not a secret. They're processes that could easily find anywhere in books, research papers, online, or in university courses. I am standing on the shoulders of countless researchers, psychologists, and coaches who have paved the way before me. What I've done is nothing new, but I've taken all of their incredible work and I have condensed it into a 12-week program designed to fast track your journey to the relationship you deserve. It took me 4 years and honestly tens of thousands of dollars to get where I am, but it doesn't need to take you that long, I promise. So let's get into the practical steps that can really help you start to shift these patterns. When I first started on this journey, I realized that understanding my attachment style, it just wasn't enough. I needed a clear plan to actually make changes in my life. So here's what worked for me. When we start the program, we start off first and foremost with understanding our attachment styles. I needed to understand the foundation of how I related to others before I could do anything else. And attachment theory, which was originally developed by Bowlby and Ainsworth, it provides a framework for understanding how our early interactions with caregivers shape the way we connect with others in adulthood. This awareness is crucial. It becomes the starting point for making meaningful changes. By understanding the root of our relational patterns, we're able to begin the process of healing and developing healthier ways of connecting with others. And then in the coming weeks, we start to understand the difference between emotions and perceptions. Dr. Gabor Mate emphasizes the importance of recognizing that our emotional responses are often rooted in past experiences rather than the present moment. So by separating what I was feeling from what I was actually happening, I could begin to respond to situations more rationally rather than reacting based on attachment wounds. And this awareness is crucial in breaking the cycle of reactive behavior. And then when we move on to identifying attachment wounds, which is roughly weeks 4 and 5, we have to get really honest with ourselves about the stories that we keep telling ourselves. These stories are holding us back. These beliefs, they're so ingrained, we don't even notice them. They are running the show, though. According to cognitive behavioral theory, many of our limited beliefs stem from our early childhood experiences, and then they're just reinforced by our environment and personal history. And this is why I call them attachment wounds, because these beliefs, like I'm not enough, or I always mess things up, or I will always be alone, they shape our self-concept and our behavior. So by recognizing these wounds, it's the first step towards starting to change them. And once we really start to understand our wounds, we want to start shifting them. And so this isn't just about thinking positively or having affirmations. It's about understanding the origins of these wounds and replacing them with more empowering beliefs. Neuroscience, particularly the work on neuroplasticity by Norman Doidge, shows that our brains can actually reorganize themselves by forming new neural connections throughout our entire life. So we're not stuck. By intentionally challenging and changing our thoughts, we can actually begin to rewire our brains. And the key tool in this process is by a man named Emil Cui, and it's called autosuggestion. And this involves deliberately repeating positive affirmations to reprogram your subconscious mind, aligning with your conscious goals. But autosuggestion alone doesn't work. We have to pair it with alpha theta brainwaves in addition to somatic experiencing. And all of this together I call somatic repetition. And this is where you repeatedly experience and process these sensations in a safe environment. And this is crucial. This method not only shifts your mindset, but it also retrains your entire nervous system, leading to deeper, more holistic healing. And so by combining all of this together, we actually get a powerful integrated process for healing. And after spending many years trying to figure out my attachment style and figuring all this stuff out about autosuggestion and learning about my emotions, I still wasn't getting what I wanted out of relationship. And that's why in weeks 5, 6, and 7, because we spend 3 weeks on this, we talk about our needs. We really, really need to learn what our needs are. For so long, I had absolutely no idea what I needed. Like if someone asked, "Hey, Jen, what do you need right now?" I would just kind of shrug and be like, "I don't know. Like, why don't you try something and then I'll see if I like it or not?" But that's not helpful in a relationship. But now if you ask me, "Hey, Jen, what do you need right now?" I can probably check in with myself and I say, "Oh, I don't know. Let me think." Like right now I need a cuddle and a cup of tea. That's what I need right now. I want a cuddle and a cup of tea. I'll probably get one after this. You know what? In fact, type yes in the chat if you would also like a cuddle and a cup of tea. I don't know about you, but that sounds good right now. Mm-hmm. Yes, I wish, Angela. Yeah, I know. Getting, being able to really figure out a cuddle for sure. Yeah, I'll come cuddle you, Joe. Hi, give me a cuddle. It's seriously though, it is interesting how we often don't realize what we need until someone else suggests it. I used to think that asking for something made me needy or it made me annoying or bothersome. But learning that needs are not only important, but essential in relationship was a game changer for me. So then we're going to learn to meet our needs. We're going to learn how to start communicating them. And John Gottman actually talks about this. He says that uh, he emphasizes that successful relationships aren't just about getting your needs met by your partner, but they're about how well you understand and communicate those needs. So it's not just about, hey, can he meet my needs? The benefits of the relationship is, can I communicate them? And so through all of this, I was getting in a really great spot in my relationship and I had figured out my attachment style. I'm understanding my emotions. I'm figuring out my needs, but something still wasn't clicking, which is why the very last thing that I really want to be working on is setting and keeping boundaries. Now, type yes in the chat if you associate boundaries with rejection and conflict. So I don't know about you, but I have always associated having to set a boundary with a rejection or a conflict. Or if someone sets a boundary with me, it felt like a rejection and I would kind of get a really big emotional reaction. So type yes in the chat if this sounds like you. Boundaries can feel scary. Yes, Joe, exactly. I worried that setting a boundary might push people away or make me seem difficult. But here's the truth. Boundaries are essential for healthy relationships. And as I practice setting boundaries, I notice a significant shift in my relationship. And so Brene Brown highlights this importance of boundaries and cultivating compassion and connection. She explains that we set boundaries, we actually teach others how to treat us. And we also show ourselves that our needs and well being are worth protecting. So, which path are you taking? Let me ask you, if you had to choose, which path would you take? The one where you're stuck, replaying the same frustrations, the same unmet needs, waking up every day feeling sad? Or do you want to wake up feeling confident, connected, and truly seen in your relationships. It's like choosing between a black and white rerun of all of your past relationship dramas or stepping into a vibrant new story where you're the lead, shaping your future with intention and clarity. Which will you choose? Staying stuck or hitting reboot? If you're ready for a fresh start, I want you to get your fingers ready again. I want you to type reboot in the chat. Mate knew what was coming before I even said it. She has got this. I love it. Reboot. Yes, Mate says reboot. Joe says reboot. Angela says reboot. This is amazing. Let's get started. Now, I want to take a moment to review the core concepts with you, all right? Because I really want to make sure you leave here with a clear understanding and a new approach that we've discussed and how it can help you get the relationship you truly want without all the unnecessary struggle. So type yes in the chat if you are ready for this review. Concept number 1 was all about communication. Do you remember what we talked about? All about the myths about how a one-size-fits-all communication strategy, it works, but it doesn't, does it? Instead, tailoring your communication to your specific needs and your attachment style and your partners can create space for more meaningful connections. Now, core concept number 2 tackled the myth that conflict is a relationship killer. You now understand that conflict, when handled correctly, is actually an opportunity to build emotional resilience and deepen connection with your partner. And we talked about core concept number 3, which is all about taking personal responsibility, about transforming your past trauma into strength and growth for you. And I walked you through the exact method that I use with my clients and that I now use in my program to help them break free from the patterns that have been holding them back. Because this isn't about blaming yourself. It's about empowering yourself to create the relationship you want. Now, let me know in the chat which course concept resonated most with you today. Excuse me. It's afternoon time. Hi. 1, 2, or 3. Which core concept resonated with you the most? Which one gave you the most aha moments when you were listening to them right now with me? What are we thinking? 2. Yeah, the resilience, the conflict, right? The rupture and the repair and how it's needed, the communication. Great, Deanna. Now, I know why you showed up here today. It's because you're ready for a change. You're tired of the endless cycle of conflict, confusion, and frustration. You're looking for a better way to achieve the relationships you have always dreamed of. You want to stop feeling stuck. Stop wondering if you're ever going to get this right. And finally feel confident and secure in your connection. At the beginning of this training, I made you a promise. I promised to show you a new way to approach your relationships, one that doesn't rely on outdated advice or generic strategies. And here's my second promise. If you take the strategies and insights we discussed today and start applying them, you will already start to see change in your relationships. You'll notice stronger connections, clearer communication, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. But I also understand that making these changes on your own can sometimes feel overwhelming. And that's why I'm here to offer you continued support if you're ready for it. Now, for some of you, the tools and the insights from this workshop, and maybe along with my podcast, the Facebook group, or other communities, might be enough for you to see the shift that you need to start seeing. And that's wonderful. I'm so excited for that. I'm thrilled to provide these resources because I truly believe in the power of accessible support and community. But let's be real. Sometimes we need a little bit more. You need someone in your corner, holding your hand, guiding you through those tough spots, and being your bestie. And it's the best kind of bestie because you don't have to worry about asking her about her day. You get to just talk about your day. It's a win-win. And that's what I love doing. So, whether you're ready to dive deeper with personalized support or you're just beginning to explore these concepts, know that I am here to help you every step of the way. Your journey to the relationship you deserve is just getting started. And I'm excited to see where it takes you. Would you like me to help you create a relationship where communication flows naturally, conflicts are handled with empathy, and you feel deeply connected and understood? Type yes in the chat if you're ready to transform your relationships fully and completely from the inside out. Yes, Joe says yes. Joe is ready. Angela says yes. Because the thing is you have a choice. It's always been your choice. You can continue with what you've been doing, holding on to the hope that something will shift, even though it hasn't so far. That might mean sticking with familiar routines, navigating relationship challenges alone, and risking the same frustrations and setbacks you've experienced before. Or you can choose a different path, one that's guided and proven to work. You can decide to invest in yourself and take advantage of a clear, structured plan that's been designed to help you achieve faster, more meaningful results. And this path offers you expert support, helping you break free from old patterns and build the kind of relationships that bring you true joy and fulfillment. And I know this choice can feel overwhelming, and it's okay if you're not ready right now. 5 years ago, I wasn't ready. If I had jumped into something like this before I was truly prepared, I honestly would have wasted my time, my money, my energy. We all have our own timelines, and it's important to honor where you are right now on your journey. But if you're feeling that pull, that instinct, if you're ready to make a change and start seeing real transformation in your relationships, then I invite you to take that step with me. If you're ready to choose a new path and build the relationship you've been dreaming of, I want you to type "I'm ready" in the chat. Let's do this together. Let's see who's ready to really start that new path. Type "I'm ready" in the chat. Listen, I have shared a lot with you today, and I hope it has sparked some insights. Deanna says, "I'm ready." Yes, I love it. I'm genuinely passionate about helping you create the relationships you deserve. And that's why I've designed something special to support you even further. And if it's okay with you, I'd love to take a couple of minutes to walk you through my relationship reboot program. It's a step-by-step guide to getting the connection and communication and fulfillment that you deserve. Would it be all right if I just took a couple minutes to explain how this program can guide you towards the relationship you've always wanted? Type yes in the chat if that's okay with you. Great. Trina's ready. Joe's ready. Yes. Joe says yes. Dina gave me the thumbs up. Love it. So my job is to give you the right information so that you can achieve the relationships you truly want without the struggle. Great. Listen, let's talk about how I can help you. Okay. I've set aside some time over the next few days to speak with each and every one of you one-on-one. I'm offering a free 45-minute attachment assessment. And this is an opportunity for us to dive deep into your unique situation, explore your attachment style, and map out a clear path forward tailored to your specific needs. Now, during this assessment, we are going to get clear on where you are right now, what's been holding you back, and what needs to shift in order for you to start seeing real change in your relationships. Now, I'm going to drop the link in the chat, but I want to keep telling you something. I'm excited to share that anyone that books today before the end of this workshop will actually get a chance to get one of these exclusive Speak Honest notebooks and pen sets. So if you click on this link and you go and schedule in an attachment assessment with me before the workshop ends, I will send you one of these beautiful notebooks. I just need to make sure you have a US address. That's the only thing. But so long as you have that, you get one of these. No questions asked. You sign up, you come, you get the notebook. That's my little thing of just saying thank you. I actually got these notebooks. We'll be using them in the program starting on September 23rd. And I had some extras. So I thought, hey, you know what? I think this could be really fun to encourage people to sign up. So you have until the end of the Q&A to book in with me. So let's see. I put the thing in the chat. I know I'm not the only one out there offering support in this space, but what sets me apart is how deeply I understand the challenges you're facing. I've been through this process myself, and I have guided so many women through it as well. And this program isn't just about identifying your attachment style. It's about reprogramming old patterns, setting boundaries, and communicating in ways that actually get you heard and understood. So if you're ready to take that next step, to go beyond the insights we've covered today and to start seeing real, lasting change in your relationships, I would love to chat with you. And if you have already scheduled in an attachment assessment with me, I know who you are. You will also be getting this notebook because you went above and beyond to reach out to me even before this workshop. Thank you so much. So I already have one person in for the attachment assessment. I'm so excited. Thank you so much. She will be receiving one of these notebooks. I'm so proud of her and the journey that she is going through. So here's what you can expect on a call with me. So, well, here's what you can expect when you click on the link is what I meant. You'll be taken to my online scheduler. where you can choose a date and a time that works best for you. So once you select the preferred time, you'll fill out a short form with contact details. And after you've booked, you've received a confirmation email with all the details. Just make sure that you check your spam folder because sometimes they don't come in right away. So you want to make sure. So the call itself is going to be held on Zoom. And during our 45 minutes together, we're going to get really clear on a few things: your specific relationship goals, the obstacles or challenges that have been holding you back, and how you've been navigating communication and conflict up until now. And remember, for those of you who book your attachment assessment before the end of the workshop, you get one of these free notebooks. Let me know in the chat if you have scheduled. I have it up over here just to see it, but I'd love to know if you are. Oh, that's going to get me a little bit. Thank you, Joe. Joe just said, I've worked with Jen and you guys. She is amazing. It's helped me so much this year. Thank you so much for that, Joe. I truly appreciate that. Remember, these calls are for you. They are for your journey. Okay. And on this call, this is my goal. My goal is to help you achieve clarity on where you're at and what you need to move forward. We're going to talk about your specific relationship goals, why you want them, any obstacles or challenges that might derail you, or how about how to handle communications and conflict in a way that strengthens your relationship. If you're unfamiliar with your attachment style, we'll talk through that. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about what your partner's is. You are going to leave this call with me fully prepared and knowing what you need to move forward. And you have a much clearer idea on what's going on, what needs to change, and whether the relationship reboot program is the right fit for you. And here's something that's important to me to explain to you, and that's why this call is free. Even it holds so much value. It's basically a free coaching call, but because I know a lot of people that automatically assume there's a catch, and I get it. I have a disorganized attachment. I don't literally trust anyone. But this call is all about building trust and offering support in a way that feels genuine and authentic to me as a coach. Because my mission is to help women like you overcome the challenges that are keeping you from experiencing the fulfilling connected relationship you deserve. And because I have a core value in my coaching practice where I offer value first, I start off by just helping you, like with this workshop and then with the assessment. So if we decide during the assessment that the program is the right step for you, that's amazing and fantastic. And if not, that's also amazing and fantastic because my goal is to make sure you walk away with the tools that can help you on your journey. I'm confident that I can help you break through some of the barriers that have been holding you back from achieving the relationships that you truly desire. And we can start seeing progress in a relatively short time. And I also know that many of you are looking for more personalized and support and accountability. If you're someone who recognizes that you need this kind of guidance to succeed, then let's discuss the next steps during our call to see if the program is the right fit for you. If this sounds like you, if you're ready to take control of your relationship journey and start seeing real results, then schedule your attachment assessment now. Spots are limited because this is a one-on-one call. It's not a group program call or anything like that. And I don't have any sales coaches working for me. I am a one-man show for now here at Speak Honest. And if you know me at all, you know my schedule fills up quickly, especially with school on right now. But I literally cannot wait to connect with each and every one of you. It's super important to me because there's so many nuances that only an expert can help you navigate. Nuances that traditional programs often overlook. It's not just about the techniques or the strategies. It's about understanding the full context of your life, your mindset, your environment, your social dynamics, and even those subtle patterns that influence your behavior and decisions. We don't exist in a vacuum, and real transformation happens when all of these factors are taken into account. So head over to the online calendar, secure your attachment assessment if you are ready for it. I love this honesty from Lori in the chat. Thank you for the information. Lots to absorb. Yeah, it's so much to absorb. And I want to be clear, if you need to absorb any of this information before scheduling with me, great. There's plenty of resources in the Facebook group. You can check out some of the support sessions. As always, do what works best for you. But now, before we close out today's workshop, I'm going to drop in the chat the free self-care workbook for secure attachments that you all get for staying till the end. Look at everyone who stayed. Oh, Joe stayed, Trina stayed, Mate stayed, Jumai, Angela, Deanna. This is amazing, y'all. All of you stayed, and if we went over, we very much went over. Thank you for letting me share my time with you. Thank you so much to everyone that stayed till the end. There is still a Q&A, and I am happy to have this go on for as long as we need it to. I know that we've covered a lot, and I'm here to help clarify anything you might be wondering about. So, whether it's something we discussed today or a specific challenge you're facing, now is the time to get that support that you need. You're so welcome, Trina. You're so welcome. And again, if you guys want, you have until the end of the Q&A. If you're still thinking about it, if you want to look up some more information, go ahead and just schedule that attachment assessment with me. There's absolutely no pressure when you're on the call with me. We just talk things through. I create a relationship roadmap for you. But if you schedule now before the end of the workshop, you get one of these cute little notebooks, which is really fun. So let's go ahead and just do this proper Q&A style. If you need to jump off now, totally fine. Thank you so much for coming. This is beautiful. If you have a question, you can ask me in the chat. You can raise your hand, or you can private message me in the chat. However this works, I want to really, oops, I messed this up. This way. I really want to make sure that I answer any and all of your questions. I also have a few questions that were given to me ahead of time, so I can also answer that while we're waiting. But let's roll. Does anyone have any questions? I'm gonna drink more water. I always drink water. Okay, thank you so much, Joe, for coming. Thank you. I will talk to you later. Bye. Mate, I know that you had a really great question. I can come up. Jemai. Bye, Jemai. Let me see. It was, okay. Yeah, rupture and repair. So what about cheating? Cheating isn't really so much a rupture as it is a break. So cheating would be something that would be classified under a non-negotiable. Ruptures come from these concepts more so where it's just a disagreement or maybe a conflict. Does that kind of make sense how they're slightly different? It could be any non-negotiable, to be honest. It could be cheating. It could be hitting. It could even be yelling. If that is your non-negotiable, if yelling is like, I will not be yelled at in this relationship, and you know that as your non-negotiable, and someone yells at you, you leave. But for a lot of people, cheating, a lot of couples have actually made it through that. And those who do, if they can truly heal through it, the relationship is one of the strongest I've ever seen. But that's because that rupture was so deep. It was so big that by repairing it, it built their resilience in a way that nothing else ever could. So it completely depends on if you want to be able to work through that. Let me know if that helps in the chat. And feel free to ask anything more that you have. Let's see. All right, here's a question I got sent in. What if I'm not sure what my attachment style is? Can I still benefit from these strategies? And my answer to that is absolutely. In fact, if you don't know what your attachment style is, great. That's what we'll talk about on the attachment assessment. If you're unsure, we'll talk through. I'll ask you a couple questions. I have a workbook and a quiz. You can take either one of those to figure out what your attachment style is. But the best way is to kind of just explore yourself to really get an idea of, oh, hey, I'm a bit clingy. I sometimes can get quite needy. I get very scared when he doesn't text me back. It's simple ways like that to be able to tell. So you can absolutely benefit from these strategies. But in fact, finding out your attachment style is one of the strategies. So start there, right? We don't want to jump to, oh, I just need to set a boundary. That's why all those boundaries, the workbooks and the books and all that stuff, they don't work for a lot of people because there isn't the understanding of our attachment wounds and our attachment needs under the surface beforehand. Great. Let me see. Here's another question I have. Feel free to put your questions in the chat or raise your hand if you have any. I'll go on until, let's see, it's 1:20 my time, 1:19 my time. So I'll go into 1:30 with the questions that I have ahead of time. But if you have any questions yourself, I'm happy to stay on a little bit longer. But if not, we'll just end it at around 1:30. Let's see. Oh, what if my partner isn't interested in doing the work with me? I get this question a lot. This is great because most likely your partner's not going to be interested in doing the work with you. They are their own autonomous person, right? They are going to figure this stuff out on their own. What's important is that they're doing any sort of work. What's important is that they're respecting you and listening and understanding what you're going through. But it's important to focus on your own growth first. So often when one partner starts to see change, the other might start to follow suit. And I've seen this specifically when I was talking about one of my clients. I think I called that one Sarah. Um, so when I was working with her, I only worked with her. I never worked with Mark. But it was through my coaching with her that we were able to slowly shift Mark, because she was able to communicate to him what she needed. And he was on board. He wasn't perfect about it, of course. And in the beginning it was quite difficult. But we had to get her to a place where she cleared up her attachment wounds, to get to a place where when she's talking to him, when she's asking him questions, she's not taking any of his responses personally. Does that kind of make sense when I say that? So we really want to be able to first shift ourselves inside. And then through that shifting, it will actually calm down our partner. It's kind of like we're the rock. We become the secure space in the relationship for them to be stable on. Because if we're going towards somebody with an avoidant attachment, they're just going to pull like all the way completely away. And then vice versa. If we're avoidant, I was very avoidant in my first marriage. If we're avoidant, if we're constantly pulling away from our partner, they're just going to keep coming after us. But if we can get secure, if we can instead just kind of sit there and say, wait, hold on, I don't like this. Like if I had known in my past marriage, hey, I need more space and I'm okay to ask this, I wouldn't have felt like I was the one that was the problem. I wouldn't have felt like I was the broken one. I would have just thought, okay, this is what I need, and that's okay. I'm allowed to need this stuff. I'm allowed to take up space. And that's how we slowly get our partners to not necessarily ever be interested in this work. My own husband could care less about attachment styles. It's very funny. People ask all the time, oh, he must be so into attachment styles. No, he wants nothing to do with it. It is my thing. This is how I heal. This is my modality. His is completely different. He does see a counselor. Yeah. And that's really great for him, but it's totally different. They do a lot of different stuff. There's so many modalities out there for every single person. My way is not the only way. Gabor Mate's way is not the only way. Thais's way is not the only way. We want to really be able to see what works for us in order to get there. Let's see. How are these landing so far? Oh, yay! Someone else just scheduled an attachment assessment. Oh, thank you so much. I won't say who it is. I protect my clients often. If ever you want to be the person to come up and say if you schedule it, I will always say yay to you. But thank you for scheduling. I'm so excited to see you. Is it on Tuesday? So excited to see you on Tuesday. Can't wait for that to happen. I'm going to make sure that you get one of these notebooks. And we're going to get through so much in that 45 minutes. Trust me. It's amazing what we can actually do because of the structure that I have set up and during the call. And these roadmaps that I've been making for people, they're so much fun. It's just really getting to know people and really getting to see them, and getting to ask, oh, hold on, I just got a private chat. How long is the call? Oh yeah, so the call is 45 minutes long. And this gives us enough time to really dive into your situation, explore your attachment style, map out a clear path. It's kind of like what I was saying. So it's important to me that you walk away with actionable insights. So we make every minute count, like every minute. It's just like go, go, go. But that's what I love about these assessments. I think they're just a really great way to say, hey, here's where I'm seeing you. But it's just me. I'm just one person. But it gives you a grander overview of your life. And I have you fill out a form beforehand. So we already have a jumping off point, which is really cool. And do you call me or I call you? The call will be on Zoom. So once you book your appointment, you'll receive a confirmation email with the Zoom link and all of the details. So all you need to do is click the link at the scheduled time, and then you and I will just jump on a Zoom call just like this. It'll just be one-on-one, just me and you. And we spend our 45 minutes together. It's really cool. Let's see. How long does it typically take to see results when applying these strategies? Great question. So I have started seeing results like after the first session with most of my clients, because a lot of times it just comes with self-awareness. I'll go ahead and finish up with this question. How's that sound? So healing is really cool. It's not linear. I think we all know that by now. But at the same time, there's different levels when you're healing. So in the psychology world, we have like these different levels of healing. So there's like level 1, which is you are doing a thing you don't want to be doing, but you don't realize it. And then there's the next level, which is you're doing the thing and you see that you don't like it, but you can't fix it. Like you can't change it. And then the next one is you're still doing the thing, like you're still having the feeling, you're having the big emotional reaction, but you're able to start shifting out of it now. Like that's where a lot of people are in their healing space because they've done so much work, and then they can't quite get out of that space. And then the fourth level is you don't feel this anymore. You don't like do the reactions anymore, nothing. What's so interesting is those of us that get up to that fourth level, we don't notice it. Right? So we never actually see like how far we've come. Level 3 is the one where I notice most people are self-aware in, but level 4, like you're just not having the reaction. So why would you know that you've changed? But I bring this up to say, how long does it typically take to see results? I say after even just one session, because if you were down here on a level 1 and you had no idea about this stuff, you've already leveled up. So if any one of you out there was listening to the stuff about conflict and you had never heard before that conflict is beneficial for your relationships, you've already just seen a result because now you're going to start going into conflict with a different mindset. And that's the goal here. The same thing if you've never heard about your attachment style before, and this is the first time, and you're starting to see, like, oh, the reason why I cling to my partners and my relationships isn't because there's something wrong with me. It's because in childhood, I was raised to believe that I needed to earn my worth in order to deserve love. And so now I people please everyone around me. And that's the only way that someone will stay with me. That's all I'm good for. But see how that kind of goes all the way back to childhood. It's not about there being anything wrong with you at all. So, how long does it take to see results? Like a day. But that's why I like doing 12 weeks. And that's why I like doing a group program with this now, because within the 12 weeks, will you be fully healed? Absolutely not. And anyone that says, oh my goodness, yay, I just got another attachment assessment booked. So exciting. Yay. Oh, so again, feel free. I'll like totally shout you out, but I hold all things in until otherwise stated. And so I'm so excited to see you when we are scheduled. Can I see when? Thursday. Great. I will see you Thursday. Be excited for your notebook. Very excited. Let me wrap up here. What was I saying? I have ADHD, so this happens a lot. How long does it typically take? At the end of the 12 weeks, you will not be 100% secure. I will not make that claim ever. Anyone that ever makes a claim that you can be secure within 90 days or something, it's just completely false. It's just not how our nervous system works. If you can be secure within 90 days, you were already almost there. But at the end of the 12 weeks, you will now have an entire tool belt to use at your disposal whenever you need. It is literally like stocking your kitchen up with every single air fryer, George Foreman grill, cast iron pans, caraway pans, and then every single spice you need. It's about setting you up for success. So when you get in there and you want to start cooking something new, and you want to start cooking something exciting, and you want to feel more fulfilled in your cooking. Yes, this analogy has taken a life of its own. You have all the tools now because I've set you up with that. That's what I love about the program. We work through, but even through that, you learn. You learn the tiny parts, like how does your attachment style work? How to rewire your brain? How to calm your nervous system? How to use somatic repetition? And yeah, you can do all of this stuff on your own. That's why I want to be really clear about. And I'm here to support you if that's what you decide to do. If at the end of our assessment, you're just like, hey, I don't have the time investment for this right now. I just really wanted to talk to you because I want to start healing. I just don't know how. Great. I'm going to set you up. We're going to get you to a place where you can start healing now. And then maybe one day you need that extra support. So you go and you find a coach. And if you work with me, great. And if we work with someone else, great. That's the one thing you're always going to see within my coaching practice here is this isn't about me. It's about you. It's always about you. I am just your vessel. I am just the person that is here taking you along and helping you find. But you found me. You called me in. You're the one that wants the help. And if I mesh well with that, if I am the person that you think is that vessel to get you to that healing, to get you the relationship you need, God, that's honoring on my part. Let me just tell you, honestly, what an amazing honor it is to ever be invited into your journey, truly and honestly. With that, Thank you all so much. So excited for all the calls, all the assessments that I have after this. So excited. Again, you have until the end of this workshop. So if you are like, oh my gosh, hold on, Jen, I really wanted to book one in, that's fine. I am going to go ahead and sign us off. I'll put on a little bit of music to sign us out. You'll have about 2 or so more minutes at the end of this to go ahead and still schedule in your assessment to get your free notebook that will get sent to you. And I just want to say, thank you all so much for being here, for wanting to come in and truly change your life. We are changing the world by doing this. We are shifting and changing relationships in ourselves and in the people around us. And it is amazing to witness. So thank you all so much for being here. And I truly appreciate it. And I will talk to you all later. Bye. Take care.